awfully consistent at 10-0 here as they are going to get into draft for our first game. Shen straight off the board here. Don't forget,
No surprise there.
get him out.
Yep, Shen, especially with the TP nerfs, but even before the teleport nerfs from top lane, Shen has been all over the place, especially in Korea. Pretty much all across every region, though. So he's going to be off the board. There's the Lucian off the board. Talked about that for Double Lift. He did have his Sivir and Ashe games last week, so he's very willing to play those utility AD carries that are extremely strong right now as well when Lucian is off the board, and we'll probably see one of those surface here soon. Now, transitioning over to some mid lane focus as well with the bans.
There's some high impact mid laners, let me tell you. Cassio and Azir are going to get taken off the board as TSM's last ban is Jhin, actually.
Yeah, targeting Sneaky there. You know, Sneaky, the most consistent, and people actually always at some point bring up, oh, Sneaky's underrated. Like, Sneaky doesn't get enough praise, but Sneaky's been praised for several years due to his consistency and high level of play. There you go. He was one of the first pro players to put a lot of time in on Jhin, and one of the first ones to master the champion. So target ban there, AD carry for AD carry, taking shots at each other. Remember Vladimir, Shen, or Vladimir and Swain and Aurelia all received nerfs. So Rise still very high in priority, and they may decide to early pick it. He's still a flex pick.
Yep, they do actually take it. Last ban Rek'Sai from Cloud9, taking away a jungler, opens up that flex solo laner there as Rise doesn't creep through very often, but tends to win games when he does, although not doing too hot right now in the LCS. 50% so far, but still a very strong champion.
Yep, and it definitely will speak to which lane TSM want to play around. You know, Bjergsen just being in the game usually creates pressure by himself just as a player in the mid lane. And that's one of the things that's been huge for TSM is playing to their strong lanes, playing to their strengths where they have an advantage in the game rather than, you know, trying to clean up for a lane that is falling behind. We'll get to that later, though, as Cloud9 are going to try and answer the Rise here with an early Sivir pick, which probably will be locked in.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's Vlad as well.
Yeah, I like the speed against Rise here. Allows them to be very mobile and also assist Vladimir. This is on 613, so Vladimir did get those a couple of nerfs. You know, they reverted the passive values back to pre-rework, so he gets rewarded a little bit less for full tank builds, but actually rewarded just fine for ability power builds. And they also increased the ability power ratio on Q while they reduced the base damage. So if he does, you know, build some ability power, won't really affect him too much.
And I like it, just effectively trading one powerful mage for another. So TSM will basically trade Rise for Vlad here. Are looking for a few more picks though. We'll see what they have lined up for 2 and 3. See coach path there on your screen. Just directing the players. Maybe a jungle pick here for Svenskeren. Wouldn't expect a Sejuani.
That's actually could be a shout out to Meteos. Meteos had some of the most spectacular Sejuani play that we saw back when she was in the meta. Ult flashes and whatnot, but the surprising thing here, nobody really cares about the nerfs so far. Vladimir picked up, Aurelia picked up as well. The Aurelia nerf was honestly extremely small. The nerf to her cooldown on her ultimate, not going to hit her too hard, I think, and Hanser obviously shares the same sentiment. What that does show is that Rise is definitely going to be played mid lane here, and TSM remove the illusion of their flex pick.
We talked about TSM sort of going down the tier list. Pretty obvious here in the first few picks. They're just willing to take the strong champions here when they're gifted over. I think the play they've shown in games kind of doesn't really fault them either, because, you know, they are taking a lot of the same champions, but they're performing well with them.
Yeah, and they have a nice mix here too, because yes, they've picked up, you know, these high tier champions, but also Braum is so good against Sivir. Always like to see that to basically break the ricochet, block one of them, and it's going to stop the rest of them going through. Also works against the Boomerang. Now though, transitioning over to the jungle pools, I was really hoping we'd get to see a Meteos Elise. It's one of his favorite champions, right up there with Zac, but he's going to go back to that Gragas, allow for playmaking. And I have to say, every time I see Gragas picked into Braum, I'm looking for some high skill plays here, because you have to be careful as Gragas. Braum can completely shut you down. Even though the barrels look like they're being tossed pretty high, Braum can block them and ruin big initiation Gragas plays. And then Gragas, after he blows everything, has not much to do. He just kind of waddles around because the cooldowns are so long. You're just definitely going to have to work around those and make it count.
Yep, they gave up Karma as well, I guess, with Braum on the table, taking Soraka instead. So kind of pairing with that jungle pick there for Cloud9. TSM, though, do have a draft to finish, so they have lined up here for the last few.
Yeah, Cloud9 already showing a tremendous amount of healing here. And some disengage with the Sivir and Gragas, ways to keep this Soraka out of harm's way, because it is very scary for Soraka to go against, people who are going to dive you like Aurelia. See if TSM actually try and double down on that, or nope, they're going to go with the long range here for double lift. Not going to bring extra initiation with an Ash Arrow, and actually going to go back to the Caitlyn, so adding some sieging to their late game here. Not to mention the sieging, but also the healing here from Nidalee. It's one of the less talked about aspects of the champion, but Svenskeren has been on point with his Nidalee as well, trying to control that early game. And especially against Gragas, it's very easy. Nidalee can go wherever she wants, and we'll see if TSM try and push up their solo lanes to allow Svenskeren to try and take control of Meteos jungle, or if Cloud9 are able to play as a team to defend the jungle.
Well, certainly any effort to beat TSM involves playing as a well-oiled machine, because this is a team that is efficient and relentless when they play. Cloud9, though, need one last pick. They will take Gnar, actually, over for Impact there in that top lane.
All right.
Winning versus the Aurelia form.
Yeah.
So.
Nar's also been rising a lot in priority. This is also some minor buffs that he received on 613, a little bit of range later, a token amount of damage on Hyper, only 5, but impacts Nar is going to be fun to watch. It gives them that initiation to kind of round out the comp. They've already got the speed and they have the options with Gragas here, for either disengage or engage, but we'll watch that Rage Bar and see if Impact is going to be able to get that for the team.
Feels like in general, Cloud9 have picked themselves into some pretty strong 5v5 team fighting. That seems to be the way Cloud9 like to play, so they've got a good comp for it here.
Yeah, and they have also indexed very heavily on healing.
Yep.
So I would expect TSM to get some healing reduction, some grievous wounds very early on. Biofrost currently is holding Ignite on Braum rather than Exhaust, and I actually expect him to keep that. Because exhausting Vladimir a lot less important than getting these ignites when there's a Soraka on the enemy team, a Vladimir on the enemy team, and a Gragas, all of which are going to do a lot of healing.
Well, as we get started in game number 1, jump on Twitter and predict the winner of this match using the hashtag TSMWin or the hashtag C9Win. We have a packed house here for this one, so we'll definitely know how the crowd feels about the match as it goes on. But curious to see what happens here out online as well, so make sure you get those tweets out. It is time for game number 1, however. Cloud9 versus TSM, round 2.
Yeah, this is going to be it. Can Cloud9 be the first to take a series off of TSM? It was the team that they talked about in the interview that TSM were most worried about taking a game off them, which is surprising considering how well Immortals have been performing, but very well could be Cloud9 bouncing back here and trying to take a game off them.
Well, right now, TSM are grouped as 5 as we move out onto Summoner's Rift. That's quite a fan vote here. TSM already up 72-28.
Yep, and they do have Braum, so anytime you see Braum, huge level 1 priority here. You have so much of an advantage if you catch anyone out looking for the first blood, so they bully their way in, get their lane swap wards down, and Cloud9 answer reactively. Smoothie and Sneaky going down here. Should be able to get the mirrored wards. Everybody pinging them out, though, because these are pretty standard.
Yep, and I think what the teams do next might be the interesting part. Will we have a swap, and if so, will it be matched? Right now, Double Lift has gone back, and he's looking towards that bottom side of the map, but we'll see where Cloud9 go as Sneaky, actually just traversing his way through mostly the middle of the map, although now sticking to that bottom side. Looks like Bio and Double Lift trying not to reveal themselves until they absolutely have to. As you can see, they're just outside of range of vision, but they'll now be spotted by those wards.
Yep.
To be fair, they knew were there.
Yeah, and it will be the standard lanes then. A little bit of a help on this leash here for Meteos, which is going to be good for him. You need any sort of help that you can get when you're jungling against Nidalee, and especially with Gragas. Doesn't have the fastest of clear times. We'll see how well Cloud9 can focus on that, because TSM have had so much success. Like I said, playing to their strong lanes and trying any lane that shows weakness against TSM usually gets a lot of extra pressure from their other roaming members, and then they use that lane to push up into the jungle, start taking away resources, and snowball their early leads into mid-game control. Right now, though, Cloud9 are going to get that early control of the minion wave against Doublelift and Biofrost.
Yep, Biofrost did land a good Winter's Bite, but going to have to slap these minions down and get what he can. Smoothie did actually start with Ancient Coin though, so we heard about the changes before.
Oh, it's good. Definitely some extra buffs, and that will mean more focus on the speed for Cloud9 in addition to the Sivir. As we said, Nidalee always likes to take the opportunity to go invade, especially on Gragas. And Svenskeren off to his old ways, stealing away Meteos' red.
Yeah, this is actually a 3-buff right now. Sven, you can see holding the double buffs, looking for a potential gank top lane. Impact about to transform. Haunter goes in. He wants it. There's the stun. Impact going to keep moving around. Grasp the Undying procs. They go back in for it. Impact forced to burn the flash.
Meteos now knows that his red is stolen. He saw it on Nidalee, so he should go to answer instead of trying to clean up. Just continues on power clearing. Now the thing is, when you go for invades like that with Nidalee, yes, you've taken away the red, but the red buff is just another camp, unless you're going to use the actual on-hit burn. And as far as experience goes early on in the game, if you can power through and get 2 of the small camps, then you're actually in the lead. So Meteos is just power farming it out on Gragas, taking up the small camps, and he has a little bit of an experience lead on Svenskeren at the moment. The only thing is that Sven's got a bunch of extra camps to clean up. So while Meteos walks around right now, Sven is going to go over and get his whole red quadrant, which Meteos would have a very difficult time of going to contest. It looks like he might actually go try and do it, though. That would be very risky. Maybe just get Scuttle.
Yep.
And is content to go to the other side of his jungle. Wow, Svenskeren easily recoups the small amount of lost time that he went to go for the red. Oh,
he does one in.
Frisky.
Very, but red buff already low. Sven checking. Oh, he wants another camp, but he's already cleared it. Meteos, no vision. As Sven very efficiently going to swoop through this quadrant of the jungle. So Meteos does have a peek in, but doesn't see anything. In fact, he's going to double check just to make sure Svenskeren has actually taken all the camps, which he has.
Yep, so that's a very short-lived, maybe 20 seconds where Meteos had an experience advantage, because it's gone now. Sven went and, as Nidalee, clear out the entire red quadrant extremely quickly, while Meteos is getting a little bit of vision work done. The reconnaissance I like to talk about for junglers, that has a little bit fallen down since the early days, but still an important part, even in the current state of the game.
Important to note as well that Haunter actually got it back in without using his TP, thanks to Sven's pressure. So did do some work there. It was a nice trade in from Sneaky. Soraka just going to keep Sivir healthy. Doublelift cannot afford to trade too much here.
Yep, if you're going to trade, you try and trade with Soraka. It's just that it's really difficult, especially at this level of play. The Soraka usually will position a little bit further. So if you're ever trading with her, you're also trading with Sneaky, and it's a 2 versus 1 because this is double range versus, yes, Caitlyn has long range, but 2 versus 1 will make up for that discrepancy. Return gank here to try and take advantage of the missed flash. Impact going to try and play safely, but...
Oh, stunned again. Haunter flashes in for it. Spear's going to miss though, but Impact might get chased under the tower. Red buff applied, and there's first blood.
Gotta expect that they're going to return to the lane where they blew the flash earlier, but Cloud9 don't really adapt. Meteos just farming the jungle. Impact no wards whatsoever up on the top side, and TSM with a pretty easy punish. As we talked about, any lane that starts to show weakness because of the early gank, boom, there's no flash. TSM immediately return to that point of weakness. Meteos going to try and make up for it in the mid lane, though.
Speaking of point of weakness, Jensen already popped the ulti. Bergson maybe caught out. Gets belly ball there. This is going to burn the flash. Meteos takes him out.
There it is. They strike back in the mid lane, focusing more around Jensen. What we were looking for from the squad, and Cloud9 answer back pretty quickly here.
Probably for the right person as well. You can see Bjergsen now with that recall, I guess. Picks up his tier and his catalyst components, but Jensen will have a bit of a money advantage as he now hits the back button and heads to base to shop. So we'll see if that translates. As Bjergsen going to TP his way back in. Jensen's going to have to walk, but shouldn't be too much trouble for him.
Yeah, that actually brings up another point about the 6.13 patch with the experience changes early on in the game. You don't lose quite as much because the enemy doesn't get quite as much experience from the kill, and most of the losses are attributed because of the minions that you're going to lose, but TSM burning their mid lane teleport there, so Bjergsen gets back in time for that basically double wave at his turret. And Meteos finds that he's been had.
Yep.
Svenskeren's already taken everything out of this quadrant. Now you're going to have to fight over your own blue.
Smited out the Wolf Spirit as well, so a bit of additional vision as Sven going to pop over a Trinket Ward, take it out there. Cat form. Bergson wanting to get a bit aggressive, pops the ulti, I think, or maybe just the passive to clear that wave out, but Impact's made his way to mid lane. It's TSM trying to steal away this blue. Sven's going to get it.
Yep, there they are. Classic TSM jungle invade. Sven Skaren already doing the groundwork with the extra vision that he did on the first invade on that side of the jungle. And look at that, even with Meteos getting the kill credit on First Blood, because he showed mid lane, because he spent time there, Sven Skaren was able to punish him, take away the extra couple camps, get some extra experience lead, and that is going to earn them the dragon as well. Intelligently here from Meteos and Cloud9 now, they don't want to try and fight over it because they know they are not equipped to do so at this stage in the game. So try and take something on the other side of the map so that you don't waste time just sitting around in front of an objective that you know your enemy has you outmanned on.
Yeah, and Meteos, I guess, with a manaless mid laner, happy to take the blue away for himself. So we'll just trade back and forth, but Bjergsen should have a good time, especially with Ocean Drake in that lane. Smoothie maybe going to get stunned here, but last few orders aren't quite there. But you can see when you do hit Soraka, tends to take a lot of damage. So smart trade there from TSM in the bottom lane. Bio's back in, wants an all-in perhaps. The good silence there might stop that. Bifrost puts up the shield, he's going all in for it almost. Needs one more order, but not going to burn it. Here's Sven!
Oh!
Doesn't get him.
And Bjergsen's coming too. This is 4-on-2.
This is a bad time. Also top lane as well. Impact can ulti Haunter back, and that should be a kill. Haunter gonna try and fight it, but he can't do it. In the meantime, though, Caitlyn gets one. Caitlyn gets two. Bifrost will go down. But TSM clean up a dive as C9 clean up top.
Yep, the counter kill is important for Cloud9 though to keep close in gold as both teams are making good moves. Meteos knows he's weak on the bottom side, so he has to try and play to their strong side. People that have been trying to make up ground against TSM, you know, make up ground where TSM are already winning, have just been losing more. So Cloud9 are trying to play the other side of the map, make a play up on top, and they do at least convert. Oh, Jensen actually got a kill on Sven somehow off screen, and there's a teleport in bottom. Impact is down there, cutting him off.
Oh, it's gonna be bad news here. Doublelift now in a bit of trouble. Hyper's gonna proc. Impact will keep chasing in. Bounces on his head. Doublelift falls to flat. Misses the net, and Impact gonna chase him down. One more on him. Gets the door. Now they're gonna stun him up. They get around to the turret, and Impact he transforms to watch his tough tie.
The Bio God is in the house. Doublelift was praying to his lord, and he came to save him. Holy moly. What a play right there, because that was almost a complete turnaround by Cloud9. You talk about the pay it forward style jungling where you camp one of your laners, top lane, Meteos camps for him, Impact, allowing Impact to get this lead, and then opening up your top laner to go gank for you. But while we talk about that, let's see how Jensen got this kill on the Sven. The Ghost and Flash. Get off my pink board, boy.
And then Impact comes into the bottom lane, and Doublelift's like, what am I doing here?
Right, this was almost a pretty clean sweep here for Cloud9, as Impact is able to get the hop, he gets the hyper move speed, he dodges the net, he did everything right here for this chase. But Biofrost comes in to save the day. My God, he gets off the shield block at just the right time for the last auto, plus the Braum passive also necessary to save Doublelift's life. Here comes Sven though, he's back where it started at the pink ward, and Meteos gonna give him some respect here, not try and go for the fight as Jensen, Vladimir is at his turret right now, and that means that the mid lane roam is gonna make the difference in the jungling there. And he's going to give it up. Here comes Sven, though. He's not done. He's going to take another camp. Bottom lane turret's also going to fall as TSM continue to play to their strong side of the map currently, which is bottom side. And they're able to get the first turret of the game.
And that's brutal, honestly. Bjergsen was missing, so as you said, not really safe in that right-hand side of the jungle. Cloud9 lose some buffs and a turret. Bjergsen, sorry, still busy farming things away. Haunter back in on Impact. Got a little lead. Maybe look for a dive here. Fox Transcendent Blades. Impact gonna turn around Soraka heal though. Gonna maybe force them back, but last few blades gonna keep Impact from getting that kill.
Yeah, Impact ought to be careful because the stun is back up. Equilibrium strike. All junglers have been attracted to blood there though.
Now fight here. Oh, dodges out the belly slam.
Oh,
going to chase him back in. Sven maybe has a decent shot. Here is a rotation from TSM. Nets the mid outer turret as well. TSM just playing so fast all of a sudden, and C9 struggling to keep up.
TSM have been playing fast the entire game, and a lot of this has been due to the difference in speed of the junglers. Nidalee has such a huge speed advantage over Gragas. Jensen, though, is going to try and fight back once again. Sven knows last time he died around the pink ward, he's just going to give that one up. TSM, they got a second turret, though, during that fight up top, and Sneaky's got to run for it now.
You better run Sneaky, because here's Bjergsen. Not going to line it up. First Q hits, I think there's the flash out, but Bjergsen, does he look to dive? He flashes forward, snares him up. Sneaky going to die under his turret. As Haunter and Impact.
Meteos is on top side too. They're committing so much to this top side.
Ulti, not there. Haunter trying to drink it around. He's a flash forward, but he gets scooped back by Impact. Haunter, I think, dead at this point. Eats the silence field, and Impact gets a kill.
So Cloud9, they're trying every time to strike back on that top side.
Jensen, what are you doing there? One more order is going to stun him. Double lift shoots him in the face. There's forward ulti combo in from Biofrost, and Jensen almost going to go down. Does fall to double lift.
This has been a story of a split map. Ever since the first blood, you know, where that was the first time TSM actually went for top, you know, double gank there from Svenskeren, burning the flash and then getting first blood. Ever since that moment, the focus has been bottom lane, and Cloud9 have been trying to clean up on top side. This time around, Sneaky makes a pretty good escape, up until Bjergsen decides he doesn't even care about your escape and he's going to go through the turret and dive you. He knows spell shield's down, so he can all in here. But a lot of damage was done to him, and that's why Jensen on the rotation didn't really respect the rest of the members of TSM having the possibility of being in the area. This, you can see Meteos did hold on to his ultimate because Impact used the Gnar to move Monster back out into territory. Canceled recalls here immediately from TSM, though, as they see Jensen just too far up there, not respecting the possibility that they could be waiting in the brush still. Unlucky, you know, if it was a couple seconds later, then the recalls would have completed, but that's too bad. You know, you're against TSM. They're not going to give you a second of breathing room here, and they close the loop, take the top outer turret as well.
Yeah, that's actually a trade. Cloud9 did get it after killing Haunter, but 3-1 currently in turrets. TSM up 4,000 gold pretty much with that first Drake to their name as well. Cloud Drake is up and available. The teams want to have a gander in that area, but again, seems that teams are playing up forward in the jungle, seeing if they can't find some picks, and TSM very successful so far. 11 kills already in this game, as everyone's playing fast and loose today.
Yeah, and it's not as though Cloud9 haven't made successful moves. Here they're going to try another mid move as Meteos is lying in wait. Bjergsen's playing to the top side, though. Smart of him. He knows he doesn't have vision on the other side. Now he's going to go try and get some vision.
Not that smart. Meteos, oh, he does get it. Connects with the ulti as well. Jensen going to combo it in, but here's a teleport in from TSM. Bjergsen, though, going to die before it can complete. I think needs it a little more. Oh my God! Garen finds the heal, and now Haunter's joined in, but it's 2v3. Meteos getting low. Haunter going to try and take him out, but he backs away from a Bifrost. Back in again there as Impact leaps away, but now he's been tagged. Soraka going to join in as now Double Lift's also in the mid lane. Everyone's here for the party, but it's just Bjergsen that dies.
Boy, is this game delivering! TSM now are the ones to lose out on a member as Cloud9 and Meteos gets away with about 25 HP on that one. But every time Cloud9 are making a play, TSM are making two. They've been able to acquire the objectives afterwards as well because they're constantly shoving the waves. And Cloud9 are having a hard time trying to catch back up. They keep on trying, though. So this is a moment where Bjergsen's like, I know Meteos must be here because Jensen was playing so aggressively, and he must be on this side because I have a pink ward on top side. Okay, let me go get vision. That's going to cost him. But right here, Impact comes in. As you can see, everybody on the map is coming to mid lane except for Sneaky. Meteos chugging that health potion actually is what saved him as well for the fight, as the rest of Cloud9 come in to try and block for Meteos so he can get out, and it is successful. Since Garen gonna try and steal away another red and gets it.
Yeah, he's gonna get it pretty easily actually, as Sven continuing to run Meteos over in his own jungle, up a level now as well, as Meteos can clear out the rest of that Krug camp. TSM just keeping up that pressure that we've seen from them time and time again, and to Cloud9's credit, they're doing a pretty good job of keeping up, but unfortunately pretty good isn't good enough against TSM right now.
Nope, TSM are just firing so quickly. And their play calling has been very, very clean. Both teams, even though it's such a big gold lead here for TSM due to the extra turrets and the extra CS that they've been able to earn, Cloud9 have had some pretty well thought out plays on the top side. It's just that they've had more mistakes as well. A couple of stray kills on the bottom side. You know, Jensen pushing up into that bottom side. Impact's got outplayed with a teleport on the bottom side. It's been rough going for Cloud9 on that side of the map. And unfortunately for them, also Dragons on that side of the map. So TSM are ahead 2-0 in Drakes.
Yep, just took the last Cloud with another one on the way. So TSM collecting those early objectives as well. Doublelift has quietly crept out to 4-0-1 with a massive CS there as well, up on Sneaky pretty significantly. 2 core items already finished means that TSM ready for a fight here. So is Haunter with his Trinity Force. And you can see Sneaky cannot challenge even with Soraka in the back pocket. C9 can have to consolidate a bit and just farm these waves up. But again, TSM should continue playing that aggressive style.
They definitely should. And you can see they're pressing up once again. Their vision in this blue quadrant lacks for a tiny bit. And Cloud9 were able to regain control. But immediately, TSM, they just push up again. They've got the strong duo with Doublelift, as you say, having the extra 4 kills. Bjergsen pushes up. Svenskeren moves right into the jungle. They clean out the vision. And supplant it with their own.
Well, Doublelift also pushing now with the Hurricane. Ulti not going to hit Sven. He's going to try and dodge around it, slowed by Tides of Blood. But Jensen cannot continue chasing. Sven going to get away this time. Jensen doesn't get the kill.
Good little dodge there from Sven. And on the top side, if we check in on the 1 versus 1 as well, Impact does have the Frozen Mallet, but you know, he doesn't have positioning on the map. Bjergsen's coming up to rotate. Is TSM once again making another cross-map play?
Yep, Impact with the ulti to get Haunter kind of a little bit of distance, but Bjergsen's still going in. The next snare's going to land Spence here as well, and Impact just caught in too long of a lane. The kill does go to Haunter.
Cloud9 trying to keep up in pressure, but it's TSM. They have control of at least 2 lanes at all times, and that means they can easily rotate one of those other lanes over to the other to try and help out, and Cloud9 have only really been able to control 1 at a time. Right now, Sneaky's pushing up bottom, but they're going to give up this Rift Herald for it. TSM should give that over to Haunter to turn the tides in the 1 versus 1. Now he might not even need people roaming over.
Yep, and they do in fact give it over, so a huge extension of Haunter's power in the matchup as things will play out. Sneaky trying to take down a turret here, looking for bottom auto, but Bending Wave not quite big enough and can have to give it up, although will clean out this wave as best he can. He's got 1 item, so not looking too bad right now, but again, Doublelift now with the Executioner's Calling that you mentioned in the draft phase. Early healing reduction items already out for TSM, and it feels like we're setting up for an awfully strong 20 minutes.
Yep, that was going to be one of the keys we were looking for, you know, setting up out of game, you know, setting up with the composition and with the game plan is one thing, but the in-game to remember, you know, what your focus is and what you're going to need to play against this Cloud9 comp with so much healing, even with the big lead. Pick up the early Executioner's Calling. That's going to help out a lot on taking down the front line here from Cloud9 and trying to counter this Soraka as well as the Vladimir.
Cloud9 again sort of playing defense for a little while, trying to get that farm where they can. TSM have sort of fanned out though into a 1-3-1. They've got Bjergsen top lane, Haunter bottom lane, and 2 teleports ready. So Svenskeren, Doublelift, and Biofrost will team up as a trio. See if they can't continue that tri-lane pressure that TSM have looked good with so far. Impact trying to chase one down, but that's a flash forward. Actually going to keep chasing. Frozen Mouth's pretty annoying.
Meteos has flash also.
Haunter has to go back in, but Meteos going to move for it, scoops him away, and Haunter doesn't escape. House to the back of the face.
So Cloud9, again, they're still focusing on the 1 versus 1, and they get a kill, but it's in trade for an objective. A whole turret here, a secondary turret for TSM. And Cloud9, they don't have anything pushed out. They can't get anything back on their own. So TSM do increase the gold lead, even though they lose out Haunter. And he does go down in the end. Let's see if Cloud9 can actually try and take back some control here on the top side. TSM are lying in wait for a bush gank here.
Well, not going to find it, as they will give it up. Meteos and Jensen kind of trying to push that mid lane out. Impact looking for bottom turret as well. Could get it here as the wave crashes in, and will. So Cloud9 going to effectively trade cross map for a few turrets.
Yeah, that's good for Cloud9. You know, there's a lot of standing gold. There's still 2 turrets left as far as the advantage for TSM. The only problem is it's so hard to take down those 2 turrets and get the gold out of them. TSM are doing a good job of holding on to their gold lead, and Cloud9 just want to extend this game.
Sven continuing to take jungle away. Gets another red buff taken out of Meteos' jungle.
Yeah.
It's actually built up Rylai's already, so pretty strong on the Nidalee so far. Looks like Haunter not deterred by the 2v1 he suffered earlier. Just back down to that bottom lane. Still with his summoner teleport. Gonna just continue pushing that out as TSM once again gonna look to try and pressure down a turret. This time it's the tier 2 in mid lane.
Yeah, just siege up with Caitlyn. Doublelift is fed, plus he can lay down the trap line, such long range. Turrets are a piece of cake here for TSM. They melt that second one, and they just rotate right over to the bottom to clean up the last one here. Let's see if Cloud9 moves Sneaky, because right now, Sneaky on top side means Cloud9 are probably just going to try and trade this, but they're not even going to get a turret out of it. It's just going to be an extra minion wave for Sneaky on the top side of the map. So Cloud9 going to lose even more gold out here as they try and defend. They have cleared the minion wave, though. So TSM might actually send someone back to deal with Sneaky's push.
Well, Sneaky has sort of been topside for a little while, actually. Just soaking up farm, trying to play catch-up, because he's still very far behind Doublelift.
He is, and he's trying to get some pressure for the team. The problem is that Bjergsen has teleport and Sneaky does not. He's the AD carry, so he's going to have to recall much earlier than Bjergsen is, and TSM still get the turret advantage.
Yep, they pull Bjergsen, do clean out that wave in top. Jensen now trying something else. This is going to put pressure into the mid-outer.
But you're exposing yourself. They're going to collapse. Here comes Hanser.
He has to run.
Good job by Jensen, though. He runs away quickly. This is one of those things where you know you have a lot of ground to make up, so you want to try and go trade that turret for something, but sometimes you'll stick around too long, try and actually commit to that turret kill and die there. Jensen actually doesn't commit to it, so he just pushes up to the wave, then backs off, and Cloud9 are just going to have to, you know, bite the nail here and try and hold on until they can kind of even up the gold lead. Now they've got nothing to hide behind besides the inhibitor turrets, though. And Baron is on the table.
Yeah, a TSM really just getting a lot of value out of every play. It feels like 2 for 1 every time we trade objectives as TSM get themselves another Drake, making it 3 total with the second Cloud just being picked up. And like you said, Baron area now open and available, so TSM going to shift all their presence there. See if they can't maybe bait C9 into some sort of fight here, because TSM, if they get Baron, that siege, the siege elements of their comp, it's going to get even stronger as Bjergsen will get spotted there by Sneaky.
TSM have so many tools right now with which to pull Cloud9 out of their base. If they set up Caitlyn traps along this little ramp here by Baron, it's going to be so difficult for Cloud9 to get in. Cloud9, the way they win a team fight, they have to get either a great Impact ultimate or a great Meteos ultimate onto Doublelift. If Doublelift doesn't die immediately, TSM will win out in the team fight. Right now, Impact's getting soloed, though. He got cornered. Can he escape? Over one wall.
Yeah, makes the first one. Transparent tax him, though. There's Ryla's also there. He's going to pop the Randuins and try and get away. About to turn Mega. Looks to scoop them back. Does get a few.
They're on Baron. They're trying to save Impact by starting Baron and pulling TSM over.
Technically works for now. Bjergsen actually going to get chased down as he's been exhausted already, but he'll stop Meteos with a snare, and a desperate play will save their top laner.
They did save Impact. He had to blow his flash. He lost a lot of health. The rest of the team lost a lot of health from tanking Baron as well. So TSM, even though they don't get the kill, they got a lot of map presence because there's so much health that's lost now from Cloud9, and they're using that presence to shove up mid lane.
Yep, time to bust through. Mid lane turret getting low. It's too much power here between the Nidalee and the Caitlyn. It does fall down. Cloud9 unable to defend, and TSM might not be done as Jensen, that's aggressive. Gets himself tagged, pops in a Sanguine Pool though to escape. Cloud9 going to try and save this.
Yeah, that whole time though, Doublelift taking shots at the inhibitor, and this will go down. TSM have not let up for a second.
No, they certainly haven't, and now playing up to the tune of 7,000 gold ahead. TSM have additional pressure now mounting as the Super Minion's going to start charging down mid lane. Baron once again still on the table as Bjergsen might look to take the Scuttle Crab away. Although it looks like he's shifting top lane. Wants to make sure he gets that wave pushing as well. Haunts are doing the same, going bottom, and we've seen a lot of 1-3-1 for the last 5-10 minutes from TSM this game, but they haven't even needed their teleports. It's been the most impressive thing to me. They're just quicker to every single play.
Yep, Hanser and Bjergsen both still ready with those. For Cloud9, they really need to try and get a deep ward in here. Maybe a surprise flank from Impact, because now he doesn't have Flash. So engage with Gnar without Flash becomes way, way more difficult. And they really need a good start to the fight if they are going to take it, because TSM have a huge gold advantage. Mid turret looking to go down, though.
Firefrost says no. Minions! Oh no! Yeah, they're going to do enough work. They're going to look for something no here. TSM want way more than just a turret. Bjergsen now ready to go. Look for Smoothie. Perhaps he's going to try and chunk him down. Now Haunter in the backline as well to lead Smoothie. As he dives back in, there's another Sneaky's going to fall. And Cloud9 is trying to scatter to the wind as TSM going to shoot down Impact to look for a flank of his own. But that's 3 dead. A double kill for Bjergsen.
TSM looking like a well-oiled machine. The double teleport does come in. They cut off Cloud9 for trying to take down their outer turret. They get 3 kills, and that should mean an easy Baron for them, which will Well, that's basically going to mean your side lane inhibitor turrets are toast.
And usually from then on, it gets very difficult to win the game as TSM going to be up close to 10,000 gold. Pyuxin even steals away the red buff, not needed for Baron DPS. And there we are, TSM now pretty much clear the 10k gold lead. And Cloud9 have an awful lot of work to do if they're going to stay in this first game.
Yeah, this game has been full throttle since the very beginning. Right here, they're just trying to get an outer turret, man. Just trying to get some gold back for themselves. They can't do it, though. Double teleports come in out of their vision. They don't have vision control, so they don't know it's coming. That means Impact teleport is way too late since they had no warning this is coming from TSM. And TSM clean up here, absolutely scattering Cloud9. Now Cloud9 just have to think back to the beginning stages. TSM, they were able to keep this game at such a high pace with Nidalee's clear advantage going for the red steal into the early couple ganks. From that moment on, the pressure was all TSM's. Strong lane there with Ryze, strong lane with Caitlyn. Hanser feels very comfortable on the Aurelia, and that's the lane that they focused with ganks as well to get him ahead. So even though Cloud9 kept trying to make counter plays on the other side of the map from where TSM were playing, it was not enough to make up for the amount of advantage that TSM kept gaining.
And this is tough as TSM now looking that bottom lane, trying to take down yet another inhibitor turret. Supers to deal with as well, as that mid wave's getting awfully close to Cloud9's base. They're doing a pretty good job so far, but can't walk too far past the trap line double lift to set up. And TSM just happy to throw poke in.
Yeah, you can't stop this siege. Caitlyn Braum, so good, just with the duo. Even if the healing from Nidalee wasn't there and Ryze wasn't in his current state, it's already so difficult to deal with Caitlyn Braum siege. The trap line here, plus the wall goes up. Turret's almost dead already, and the cannon minion, empowered by Baron, almost takes care of it.
Yeah, he's doing a lot of work, but ran out of minions for a little bit. TSM going to guide the next wave in. Bifrost puts up the door. And just a few more shots. There it is. Ulti from Meteor is going to try and get a catch, but TSM now going to leap forward into Cloud9's face and Cloud9 retreat. Impact, no, he goes in. They want Pyuxin. They CC'd him up. They do get him. But now Haunter dives into the back lines as he's just trying to run interference. Double Lift doing so much damage as well. And he's going to clean through the rest of Cloud9. They're too far behind. A triple kill, sorry, for Aurelia as TSM clean house and Jensen left to defend, but he'll die if he stays.
Yep, they take down the mid laner, but TSM prevail. Jensen actually is the next target here as they might get the stun off.
It's too much, Jensen. Oh, he pops his onions. Looking to make a big play, but it's not today as Double Lift gets the shutdown. Sperm will go down as well, but TSM are going to grab the ace and clean up the Nexus for a winning game number 1.
Double F still being up means this Nexus is toast, and TSM in game 1 are going to take it and make a statement that they are still the #1 team in the North American LCS, and they deserve their spot.
A very decisive first game win, and Cloud9, it seems like a lot of stuff we thought about has been cleaned up here, but it is a pretty Herculean task to clean up in 1 week to be able to tackle TSM, at least for game number 1. We'll see what they have kind of moving into the rest of the series, but that is a great sign for TSM and another worrying sign for Cloud9. It felt like for a while they were keeping pace, but just a little too far behind.